Well, hello everybody. You guys got audio out there? Good. Maybe something's working. Fantastic. I haven't done any live streams from this particular computer, so I have no idea how this is going to work out. But I suppose we're going to find out. We're going to have
If
a
it
little...
makes you feel any better, Blue, I can hear you.
Perfect. And a welcome to Bob the Science Guy. Let's see if they can hear you out there too.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
OBS says...
Knucklehead Numpty.
OBS says you're good.
All right, well, if OBS says I'm good, I must be good.
Yeah, the little green and worms are jumping up and down, so that looks perfect. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Blue. Had a great day. Nice video compliment from Simon Dan for Whoopi and I and a couple of the other well-known debunkers. But I've been, the high point of my day, Blue, is getting an opportunity to work with you again. Especially over our favorite subject. We touched the Yahoo question 6 months ago, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Yeah, the Blue and Bob show, I think it was.
Let me see what's going on. They're talking about you. That's probably through my microphone here. So maybe what I'll do is plug in my headphones. Now let's see if I can hear you okay, Bob. Oh, Bob. Well, that didn't work right. Try it again. Hello. Well, let's see what's going on.
Was everything working well out there in UT Lab?
I'm going to go back to my other setting.
I'll pull this up over here too with the sound off.
Let me see if I can speak to me again.
You want to talk to yourself, or you want me to talk to you?
Oh, that's good. I can hear you through the headphones.
Good deal.
That should knock down the echo out there. Hopefully, that'll take care of it. Now they say can't hear Bob at all. Okay, well, let's look again. Let me try to...
I'm not talking much, and what do I have to say, right?
Yeah, now you are. I think we're okay.
You got 6 already, man. You're a popular guy.
Wow.
One popular dude.
Excellent. Thanks for everybody for showing up. That's terrific. So I think maybe we've got our audio issues sorted out here. It's a problem when you're running through Discord.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I struggled with it for a while too, and then I think I finally got it down. Sounds like you do as well. So what do you have for us tonight, Mr. Blue?
Well, tonight tonight we've got our friend, and I use that term loosely, the quantum eraser, who has
quantum eraser. I know a guy named Questionable Education.
Same guy.
Who is this quantum eraser you speak of?
Yeah, same guy.
Okay.
Same guy. Yeah, that's the guy who has joined, I guess, with the rest of the crowd and totally panicking over the Cavendish Experiment. And I think that was.
If you were a flurf, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were a flurf, that would into a panic, and some white swan photographs.
Yeah, they can't afford that, and they are desperately trying anything they can to discredit Cavendish, to say that, well, just you pick it, you know. And they're doing exactly what we thought they would do, and exactly what we predicted they would do. When they can't refute the results of the experiment, then they'll back up and resort to just personal attacks against me, and that's really what this is. That's what Quantum Eraser did. But he's pretty good at that. He's done it to you. He's done it to me. He's done it to everybody. So that's just the kind of guy
that he has.
Is. Yeah. But I thought maybe we would watch a little bit of John, and maybe shed some light on where he goes wrong with in some of his reasoning. Now, bear in mind that the first this is a section that I cut out of QE's video that he did on me, mainly because the first 24 minutes of it is nothing anyway. They're just talking amongst themselves. And the last 10 or 15 minutes of it is just more of the same. So I let it go to the point that he said he was done with me, so that should work. And hopefully,
let's go see what we can do.
Hopefully, right now, can you see the Quantum Eraser in full panic mode screen up there?
Let's have a look.
Watching YouTube.
Yep, got it now. Quantum Eraser in full panic mode.
There you go.
Combining scared with stupid isn't going to help you, Questionable Education. That's a great quote. Just with flirps in the future, combining scared with stupid won't help you.
Well, let's give a listen to a little bit of this and see where it goes.
All righty, I'm going on mute. I can't wait to hear this.
Yep. All right, let's get into this. Don't know whether I'm going to go through the whole thing or stop halfway through or say, we'll go by feel. How about that? So, mic discipline, please. All right, we got the Cavendish Experiment. And you'll see why I called it the Cavendish Experiment here in a few minutes. And it's championed by our favorite, Hillbilly Blue Balls Redneck Retard. That's him right there. Now, before we move on from this, I just want to point out that, and I'm going to take a shot, here from my opinion. It's a good opinion. I've been around people for a long time. I got a good gut with it. This gentleman is not a deceiver. I'm going to tell you right now. He's not lying. I can tell just by the eyes. You see? Right by the eyes. He's not a deceiver, folks. This is the highest level clinical Dunning-Kruger delusional imaginable. Right? I'm talking restraints and tranquilizers here. This is scary. Driven by blind, fanatical religious zealotry.
Is this your channel, Quantum Eraser? John, do you have a channel called Scientific Proofs of the Creator? Maybe you want to re-examine who the religious fanatic is here, and it's not me.
That's the scary part. That's what we got going on here. We got a Hanlon's razor scenario. If anyone knows what Hanlon's razor is don't attribute to malice what can be explained by utter stupidity, right? That's what we got here. So I just wanted to put that out. I don't think he's lying. It's even scarier than lying. And if you don't see that within the next 5 minutes, you got to take an internal look, because this is a train wreck of epic proportions.
I believe that would qualify as a personal attack, don't you, Bob? Oh, Bob.
Well, indeed it does. It indeed does. The problem is, of course, I can't hear it through my headphones right now, so I'm about about 30 seconds late.
Uh-oh.
So, yeah, well, honestly, that's all cue he has. When you're as scientifically ignorant as Quantum Eraser is, all you have is personal attacks, especially with people who aren't scientifically illiterate. You want to kind of distract the idea that they actually know what they're talking about, and you are quite clueless.
Yeah, that's the game he's playing. Doesn't
That's
surprise us.
the only game he's ever had.
Yeah, doesn't surprise us.
Yeah, that's the only game he's ever had.
Yeah. Let's listen to a little bit more of this because it gets more interesting as we go. I'm going to take my headphones off, and maybe you'll be able to hear it better, hear it through the microphone. Sorry about the echo, folks. We'll get this sorted out as time goes on.
So let's start it off. I was going to play the numpty clip. Maybe we'll play it at the end. Remind me, Betty, if I forget about it. We'll play it at the end. I want to get right into this. So, Hillbilly Blue Balls, the redneck retard, a.k.a. the photosynthetic redneck, and No Marbles Science leads off with, "You don't know? You don't know that I'm doing Cavendish?" Well, number one, why would a random person in the Discord VC know or even care what a hillbilly redneck retard is doing?
I have no idea where he got that from. It's just some random cherry-picked one sentence out of some conversation I was having. And
that's, again, all he does. That's all he does, though. And, the personal attacks are amazing. You're from a very old and very honorable part of our country, Appalachia. Rednecks built this country, and the thing that really bothers me is him characterizing you or anybody as a retard. And, that's got a very negative connotation to it. There's a lot of people that could be deeply hurt by that. And for somebody that claims to be in the health profession somewhere, calling somebody a retard is just not something that's done. I mean, it's a complete lack of class and professionalism. But do we really expect anything new and different from this idiot?
No, pretty much not. That's basically all he's got, and that's why I don't object too strenuously when they do that to me. As far as I'm concerned, that's a simple admission that you've already lost the argument.
Quantum Eraser loses arguments with Globers as soon as he opens his mouth, sometimes even before. So he never really impressed me. He's what I like to refer to as a pseudo-intellectual. He likes to use big words and sprout out definitions, but he has no idea what the big words or the definitions mean or how to use them. So, I mean, it's all ballast, or excuse me, all sail, no ballast, as they used to say in the Navy. You're pretty from the water line, but a little breeze will knock you right over. And quite frankly, you and I are that little breeze. So let's go ahead and get him.
All right, let's do it.
I mean, do you expect everyone to follow you or something? Do we have delusional, clinical level, pretentious Witter here? It kind of took me aback and said, what the hell? What on earth? No, he wasn't following you. Why would he be? Number two, Cavendish never performed a scientific experiment in his life. Not even the Cavendish experiment and nothing else. But specifically on the so-called
Why did they call
Cavendish.
it the Cavendish experiment?
Now,
I mean, seriously, where does he come up with that statement?
I don't know. I think if he would bother checking into the history of Cavendish, he might find out that Cavendish was the first guy to basically discover hydrogen. I think he'd find that Cavendish was the guy that fairly accurately figured out that our atmosphere is 1 part oxygen to 4 parts nitrogen. I think he might find out that Cavendish did a lot of stuff in the electrical field. So I don't know where the hell he gets off saying Cavendish never did an experiment.
Well, I mean, even by his own silly 7th grade definition or outline of a scientific experiment, he likes to claim is the one and only definition of the scientific method. Even by that, Cavendish is an experiment.
Absolutely.
You have an observed phenomenon, you have independent variables, dependent variables, hypothesis, experimentation, and so on and so forth. You know, I have no idea where he even comes up with this silliness that he puts out. I mean, it's almost as though Lemonbird had a better vocabulary.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Let's see what else this fool's going to say.
Non-experiment, he had no viable dependent variable, hence no hypothesis, ergo no experiment. It's just that simple. All you have to do is check the paper. You haven't read the paper. We're going to see that down here in a few minutes. How can you be doing a non-experiment from a Cavendish and you haven't read the paper? That's the $1 million question right there.
Oh, we're going to find out who didn't read the paper all right. And it wasn't
Yeah,
me.
I mean, where does he even come up with the idea that he didn't read the paper? Or you didn't read the paper? That's absurd.
I have no idea. But he's going to very adequately demonstrate in a little while that he has never opened the damn thing and read more than the first paragraph of it. He doesn't even know what the purpose of it was.
We're going to show that you haven't read it.
Man, I just can't wait.
And number 3, why are you conducting a non-experiment from a 106-year out-of-date pseudoscience, Professor Hillbilly?
Huh?
This is where it ends right here. From your alma mater wiki, Newton's classical mechanics were superseded in the early 20th century when Albert Einstein developed the special general theory of relativity. Do you know what superseded means?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we do. My question is, do you know what it means, quantum?
Let's start that again.
Does it mean invalidated? Or does it mean they've come up with a better explanation? Something that explains more than Newton does. That doesn't mean that Newton's invalid or that you can't use Newton. I mean, that's absurd. You're an engineer, Blue. I mean, does that make any sense to you?
No, not a bit. But it's all they've got to grasp onto. They don't seem to understand simple things like, you can use a very basic formula like 8 inches per mile squared if you just want to get close. And if you're only talking about the drop, over a span of 10 miles or 20 miles, 8 inches per mile squared will give you a perfectly accurate answer. If you would like more accuracy, you can go to a lot more trouble with a much more complex formula and get an exact number. And that's really essentially what we're talking about here. You get everything you need out of Newton for the world that we live in, our solar system, the galaxy for that matter. At other times, when things get kind of crazy, speeds get close to the speed of light or masses get so large they can actually change the velocity of things, then you need to talk about relativity at that point. But I've got some good quotes coming up. You're going to enjoy these.
Oh, I always enjoy taking apart questionable education. He's such a fun guy, and he takes it so well, It's almost like he's right here laughing along with us. It's like one of them it's one of those celebrity roasts, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Trust us, John. We're not laughing with you. We're laughing at you.
Yeah.
Newton's classical mechanics were superseded there, Professor Hillbilly. Why are you performing a 106-year out-of-date non-experiment? Why is that? Let's pile on.
because it's really
Douglas
interesting.
Klein, professor of physics
and
via
it works
Phys Libre
really
text.
well.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Bob. Say it again.
Because it's a really interesting experiment that demonstrates a very important principle and takes some skill to do, and it's a good test of how well you can set up a scientific apparatus and how you can control for your variables. I mean, I think it's, I'm absolutely amazed you built this thing in your garage, and it's a scale model of Cavendish. What is it, a 50% scale model, was it?
It's 2/3 scale.
2/3 scale. All right.
I needed a
Plus,
bigger
it looks like a
garage, I
piece of
guess.
furniture. Yeah, plus it looks like a piece of furniture. So what more do you want? That's some skill there, just building the damn thing.
It works. Well,
Quite well.
let's let Einstein say what he really thought he did.
All right.
Newton's two crowning achievements, the laws of motion and the laws of gravitation, that had reigned supreme since published in the Principia, shout out to Adam, in 1687, were toppled from the throne by Einstein. So what the heck are you doing?
Going by what Einstein said? You know, it would be great to set the record straight once and for all with you people. But John, I know that's not going to happen. You're going to continue spouting your Wikipedia stuff. I'll tell you what, though, in contrast to that, why don't we go to the source? Why don't we go straight to what Einstein had to say? This comes from German History in Documents and Images, Volume 6, Weimar, Germany. And it's a letter from Albert Einstein to the London Times, November 28th, 1919. In this letter to the London Times, Albert Einstein offers his readers a characteristic mixture of straightforward yet erudite explanation, warmth, and humor. Einstein describes his theory of relativity and thanks his English colleagues for their interest in understanding and testing his work. While an earlier article in the same paper had set Einstein in opposition to Isaac Newton, Einstein versus Newton, November 8th, 1919, Einstein emphasizes the continuity between his findings and the mighty work of his English predecessor. I'll just pause this in a few places so you guys can read this at your leisure. But these are Einstein's actual words, John. You might want to pay attention. And now let's go down to page 4.
You know, the thing that I really like about quantum eraser is that he will take a perfectly good citation, twist the meaning of it to something else by leaving out key phrases, and ignore the fact that it contradicts them shortly afterwards. I mean, I just took, 2 weeks ago, I took quantum apart, showing how he cherry-picked citations that disagreed with him to try and somehow make them sound as if they were in agreement with his silly ideas. You know, people don't check these things. People in the flat earth just listen to what they want to hear, and they never follow up. That's how Taboo Conspiracy met his Waterloo. That's how Quantum Eraser looks like a fool as soon as anybody pulls up his own citations. So, I don't know. It's just amazing that this guy, can go on the internet with a straight face and put out this silliness.
Well, he's quite adept at it. We're going to get to the punchline real quick here. Up with the second
Well, I guess
paragraph.
everybody needs a hobby.
The new theory of gravitation diverges considerably as regards principles from Newton's theory, but its practical results agree so nearly with those of Newton's theory that it is difficult to find criteria for distinguishing them which are accessible to experience. Such have been discovered so far. Number 1, in the revolution of the ellipses of the planetary orbits around the sun, confirmed in the case of Mercury. The precession of Mercury's orbit, John. Number 2, in the curving of light rays in the action of gravitational fields, confirmed by English photographs of eclipses. That was the 1919 eclipse. And number 3, and a displacement of the spectral lines toward the red end of the spectrum in the case of light transmitted to us from stars of considerable magnitude, unconfirmed so far. And of course, since then, it has been confirmed many times. The chief attraction of the theory lies in its logical completeness. If a single one of the conclusions drawn from it proves wrong, it must be given up. To modify it without destroying the whole structure seems to be impossible. Pay attention to this paragraph, John. It's really important. Let no one suppose, however, that the mighty work of Newton can really be superseded by this or any other theory. His great and lucid ideas will retain their unique significance for all time as the foundation of our whole modern conceptual structure in the sphere of natural philosophy. Einstein himself said he didn't supersede Newton. Why do you continue to claim he did, John? I believe that's fairly telling, don't you, Bob?
Well, yeah, of course it's telling. Einstein never intended for somebody to sit down and say that he somehow replaced Newton with something else that completely invalidated Newton. I seem to recall hearing many, many times that in standard conditions, our real world conditions, Einsteinian equations actually break down pretty much to Newton's laws of motion and such. It's only when you're dealing with very special circumstances, and as I've often said, yes, Einstein is the best describer. However, we live in a Newtonian world, and I'll be quite happy dealing with Newtonian physics in that world, especially when you start talking about gravity as a force and saying that we can't have atmospheric pressure because there would have to be a force acting on it. Since gravity isn't a force, nobody. If you use the word force, you are invoking Newtonian physics. It's as simple as that. You can't substitute that with a discussion of Einsteinian physics when you're framing your question in terms of Newtonian physics. You have to stay kind of in your own frame of reference, so to say. Hey, Tony, I see you out there.
Yeah, I've got a great quote coming up to do with that. We'll get to it in a minute.
What's next, Professor? Phlogiston experiment? I mean, it's certainly within the realm of your capability. It's play ball time. I mean, Cavendish was 106 years. This is only 250 years. Debunked. What's next? That's why it's Phlogidish. Can't wait to see the phlogiston experiment. That's how ridiculous this is, folks. I mean, I don't know what to say. You're not parroting the correct pseudoscience from your pseudoscience priest, sir. I don't know why you're back in there Cavendish into the Newtonian mechanics. That's dead.
As we've seen, Einstein himself didn't think he superseded Newton. I wonder what Caltech University thinks about it. This is an essay on gravitational theories written by Jacob D. Birkenstein, Caltech University. Let's go down to about the middle of the article and read this paragraph. Despite the great contrast between general relativity and Newtonian theory, predictions of the former approach the latter for systems in which velocities are small compared to c, that's the speed of light, and gravitational potentials are weak enough that they cannot cause larger velocities. This is why we can discuss with Newtonian theory the structure of the Earth and planets, stars and stellar clusters, and gross features of motions in the solar system without fear of error. Why do you guys continue to say Einstein superseded Newton when clearly he did not? And that's exactly what you were saying just a minute ago, Bob.
Yeah, that was actually part of the video takedown that I did of questionable education. I actually pulled that quote up because he had used it and pointed out that very thing. We live in a Newtonian world, and as let's see, who was it here in the chat? basically, yeah, metal jacket. And just before that, oh yeah, Peter G up here. Uh, you know, Newtonian physics is for engineering, and Einsteinian physics is for physics. Einsteinian gravity is physics, Newtonian gravity is engineering. They both work fine for their limitations.
Yeah, they do. I want to shout out Schrodinger's cat. Hey, what's going on, Cliff? $2.99
Hey,
super
Cliff.
chat. Hey, Blue et al. What's going on, buddy?
Emulate his example, people. Emulate his example. The granite spheres that we could use on the Cavendish experiment run about $200, including shipping. So if you flurfs out there really want to see granite spheres used instead of metal, pony up some bucks here, guys.
Yeah, I'll be happy to hang some granite spheres on there. No problem. I'm just not going to pay for them.
Well, it's not your question, Blue.
That's right.
They're the ones raising the objection, and they're the ones that are responsible for testing that objection to prove that it is actually a valid objection. Because if they can't demonstrate how it would change the outcome, they can't claim that it's going to change the outcome. They can do it simply by purchasing these things and letting you hang them up and test with them. So here's your chance to step up to the plate, Flurfs.
Yeah, I'm ready, willing, and able. All you got to do is send them to me, or send me some money, and we'll figure out where to buy them.
How about we have the Flurfs send you the money, Blue, and then you can send them a receipt. I don't think they need to know your home address.
Oh, that's a better idea. Yeah, I'll take the money. Good idea.
Like I said, you better check your continuing education credits. I mean, you're out of date by 106 years. So the question put towards him, I think by Flatsoid, if I'm not mistaken. Is Flatsoid in the hangout?
He was, I think, until we got on to discussing the fairer sex and then he ran. So
yeah, that's a good idea. All right. So I think
Blue, shout out to
Flatsoid,
who is an absolute joy to behold. I love looking at his silly little attempts to debunk serious science. It's a great source of
absolutely.
It's a great source of amusement.
Absolutely.
Oh, hey, we got a couple of super chats here, Chief. Why don't you go ahead and do the honors?
Yeah, let me see. Let me get back over there. Got to find them.
They're the big green things that have money sign on them.
Yeah. I know. I'm juggling a bunch of screens here. Let me see. Oh, look, there we go. Rodin, no last name for $5. If I describe something as red, then later it as absorbing all spectrum except red, is the thing still red? You betcha. And how do you say his name? Cygnus. We'll just call you Cygnus. Got it. Flirfs are busy sending money to Dan Pratt to dig his trench. Yep, I've heard about Dan's trench. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. So let's see here.
In a real Cygnus, I want to totally agree with you. Flatsoid is another total dipshit. I absolutely agree with you. He actually tried to go up against me the other day. That didn't turn out to be pretty.
No, it's not likely to. All right.
Nothing but blood and fur on the floor.
Now this clown is going to go after mass attracts mass. I mean, what else? I can't think of how many times in the last year or so that I have, in excruciating detail, pointed out to people that When Cavendish did this, he had no interest in proving that gravity was real. That was a given. That's not even a question. Gravity is obvious. Clearly it exists. Cavendish was interested in determining the density of the Earth. But if you want to try to turn this into a sixth grade science project, which is what Quantum Eraser and Flat Earth in general continually try to do, then you come up with some silly-ass hypothesis. Okay, my hypothesis is mass attracts other mass. What's wrong with that?
Problem with that? Not one bit.
Oh, Billy Blue Ball's a redneck retard. You know the rest. He said mass attracts other mass. This isn't even grammatically correct. I mean, that's the least of its problems. Number one, this belly laugher isn't a scientific hypothesis. It's a circular banjo, do-si-do, begging the question fallacy train wreck. How many times have we gone over this over the years laughing at this? But nope. Mass attracts mass, bro. So what's your independent variable here? Mass? What's the dependent variable? Mass. It's a train wreck. You'd fail 5th grade general science and the 60-level basic reasoning course, sir. What are you? Is this jokes? Are you joking? I sure hope so. And you said you were doing Cavendish, eh? Can you please post Cavendish's hypothesis? Given mass, then mass will attract other mass. Can you do that for us, please, right from the paper?
I'm pretty sure I just explained that, but no, Cavendish didn't write a hypothesis saying mass attracts mass. Cavendish did an experiment and reported the average density of the Earth, John. That's what he did.
Absolutely
Maybe,
agree.
perhaps. I'd like to see this. It's not in the paper, folks. I've read the paper a number of times. It's not in there. Right? They're just...
And with that, I've got to call bullshit. I don't think John has ever read the paper. I think that's going to become clear the more he opens that pie hole of his.
Well, to say that you read the paper implies that at least you had some understanding of what was in the paper or what the paper was about or the implications of the paper. He doesn't.
Nope.
Wait a minute. Hey, I got a hell of an insult, and I'm not going to stand for this. What is this? I'm a mirror image to sleeping warrior. What the heck do you think you mean by that, Flurf? I'm going to have to introduce you to Otis. Yep. Shots fired. All right. Let's go on. Yeah, that's not going to work very well at all. The font of wisdom. Well done, Rodent. All right. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I love these Flurfs that come out and try and do this. You know, they think they can actually go up against people with insults. That just doesn't work here. Go ahead. Let's go ahead and finish this up and see
Making
what else
stuff
we
up?
have with it.
Yeah.
That'd be a neat trick since Cavendish didn't know M, that is in mass. From Warren Hodges, Iowa State University, Physics and Astronomy Department. We'll get to that here in a second. Cavendish didn't calculate a numerical value for G or M. So how did he pull
Didn't
that
need to,
trick?
did he?
How could he even
No, he
make a
didn't.
hypothesis like this? This is so convoluted and non sequitur, and this shows without a doubt you didn't read the paper. So I don't know where you're getting this
But
from.
we'll even start with that, Blue.
Whether you're having
Where do
delusional
you even start
vision.
with that, Blue?
I'm sorry. Say it again, Bob.
Where do you even start with that? First of all, if you're a professor of physics and astronomy, why are you surprised that Cavendish did not calculate M or G? Why would that surprise you in any way, shape, or form? Was he going out to calculate either of them? I don't think he was. Could you calculate both of them from his data? Of course you could.
Well, you know, the title of his paper was Determining the Density of the Earth. Now, why would you read the title of that paper and think somehow or the other you're going to find G or M in there? That makes no sense.
No, you'll find, you know what you'll find though?
You'll
The
find
density of Earth.
Yeah, you'll find the density, exactly what he said he was calculating, and you'll find everything else you need to determine G and M, as we're going to see in a little while.
Yeah.
Is there something?
I'll
I don't
get a
know.
few more comments on that, but let's go ahead and
We'll
proceed.
get back to this paper here down below. All right, just hold off on that. Hillbilly Blue Balls, the redneck retard, next statement. You know the rest. Mass is simply the resistance to acceleration. No.
In fact, yeah, John. You need to study a little bit, son. Mass is both a property of a physical body and a measure of its resistance to acceleration, rate of change of velocity with respect to time, when a net force is applied. You nitwit. An object's mass also determines the strength of its gravitational attraction to other bodies. You'll find similar wording, John, in every physics text on the planet.
And somehow I think it works. What do you know?
You bet it works.
That's inertia. Again, back to your alma mater wiki. Inertia is the resistance of any physical object to any change in its velocity.
Yeah, and if you go to a source like maybe hyperphysics or any physics textbook for that matter, again, you're going to find these same words. The mass of an object is a fundamental property of the object, a numerical measure of its inertia. What part of that is giving you a problem, John? A fundamental measure of the amount of matter in the object. Definitions of mass often seem circular because it's such a fundamental quantity that it's hard to define it in terms of something else. What part of this is giving him such a problem, Bob?
I really don't know. I think that what they try and do is they try and get hung up on the fourth definition of the third word of the sentence. And this concrete ideation that they have, and you know, they think that definitions are going to save their fantasy flat earth. They're not. I've been said, if you need to read a definition for something, you don't understand it. We've understood what mass was since what, the 7th grade? We've had a basic concept of what mass is.
Absolutely.
So I really don't understand why he's trying to go this route as if it'll save him. It won't, John. It will not save you. Playing definition games and playing logical fallacy games don't save your utter lack of understanding of the subject. It doesn't overcome that. So you go ahead and keep trying, though. It's kind of fun.
What's the definition of acceleration? A change in an object's velocity? So, the definition should read inertia, the resistance to acceleration. So you got big problems here with mass and inertia having the same definition, right? That's okay, though. We're going to roll with what you said up here, resistance to acceleration, with your hypothesis. See how I'm going to do this? Like I said, we're going to roll with your definition.
Yeah, I see how you're going to do it, John. You know, I don't even think we want to spend any time going through this silliness of yours.
And that's really all it is.
Yeah, it's just silly. He goes on and on and on about this, and it doesn't matter a bit. But I really like this one. Let's see where we are here. This is pretty good. Notice none of this has to do anything to do with Cavendish. He's just trying to pick anything he can find out of anything I've ever said and make a big deal out of it. Why? Because he's got nothing else. Listen to this.
Well, you know, he the other day, all he did was pick up words, different conversations out of context with each other, strung them together as if they were uttered as a single sentence. You know, and then did that stupid laugh of his. I can't even respond to that. It's so idiotic.
Well, this one is great. I like this one.
Hillbilly, blue balls, redneck retard. You know the rest. Gas molecules are moving in all different directions, but they're also moving in one singular mass in one direction? How can many trillions of something, individual gas molecules, be moving in all different directions and at the same time all be moving in one singular resistance to acceleration?
Yeah, well, I got a good
Did he
example.
Did he just define when?
Yeah, exactly. But I got a really good example for you, John. Think about this. Get in your car, roll the windows up, and answer this question. Are all the gas molecules in there, inside the car, moving in all different directions all at the same time? Yes or no? And the answer is yes, they are. Now, crank the car up and drive down the street at, say, 50 miles an hour. Or now tell me, are the gas molecules moving in all different directions inside the car? Yeah, I think so. Are they also moving at 50 miles an hour down the highway? Yeah, I guess they are. You know, you ought to consider about the behavior of gas, John. You ought to think about it maybe in terms that you can't completely understand, but keep in mind that down here in the part of the atmosphere we live in, no gas molecule can move more than a few nanometers without banging into another one. They're moving at 400 or 500 miles an hour, but they only move a few nanometers before they hit another gas molecule. Okay, so in that 500 mile per hour movement in the same direction the car is moving in, now that gas molecule happens to be moving at 550 miles an hour, doesn't it? But how about the one that was going in the opposite direction? Uh-oh, it's going 450 miles an hour. Still going in the same direction with the car, but one of them is moving backwards to the other one, is it not? They're all moving in all directions. Does this make any sense?
The thing that I like to use as a analogy is a can of spray paint. I go down to the beach and I spray some paint straight out from me. The paint will go out in a little stream straight in front of me. Now you add a cross to that, spray the paint out, there's going to be more paint moving towards the downwind side than moving towards the upwind side, even though it's expanding out of the can. That's what happens when you apply a force to gas molecules, and that's one of the reasons that we have an atmospheric pressure gradient, because there's an external force acting upon the mass of the atmosphere, causing it to preferentially move in a certain direction with the direction of that applied force. That's kind of the definition of work. So that's enough for me right now. Go ahead and keep cooking your chicken here.
Yeah, let's go.
Direction? Together? Por favor? Upon mere scrutiny, that's 1 to 3 seconds contemplating this megalithic train wreck of a dumpster fire, which group would be needing tear-jerking, belly-laughing resuscitation from this?
Boy, he string them together.
I know where my money's going.
That high.
Sorry, I missed it. Say it again, Bob.
You know, it's amazing how he strings nonsense together and try and make some sort of a sing-song out of it. I didn't realize crap piled that high.
Oh yeah. Well, he goes on with this same nonsensical argument for a while, but I like this one too. Here we're going to talk about a hypothesis, and QE is going to give me an English lesson. This is hilarious.
A hypothesis is a presupposition, is it not? Not. A scientific hypothesis is a supposition. That means it's open to questioning. It's provisional. From Merriam-Webster, definition of supposition, something that is supposed, hypothesis, right? You got the supposition, right? As opposed to a presupposition. That's an assumed standing premise assigned beforehand. See the difference?
Well, as opposed to determining the Earth as a sphere rather than assuming it is flat? Something like that?
How do you like Merriam-Webster dictionary, John? Presupposition? One synonym for that is to hypothesize. Do you ever get tired of being wrong, John?
Well, I don't know. If you look up the definition of Earth, spherical planet in the dictionary, I wonder if we can do that. Thank you, Roof.
I'll bet so. So he goes through a bunch of this crap, but John, really, is that the best you can do? I said presupposition instead of supposition, and you take issue with that. Is that all you got? Man, that's kind of weak. Let's see where we go from there. Oh, he goes on and on about, I'm going to skip through a good bit of this stuff. Feel free to go back. Oh, yeah, now this part is really good. Let's see.
Cherry on top of the cake. Right? This is classic right here. I pulled you off of one of Nathan's live streams. I was lucky to find it. No marbles, blue marble science. Entropy is a law? Really?
John, you read that wrong. I am actually making fun of you guys. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Now, maybe you'll find somebody that likes to refer to it as the entropy law, but you do that in engineering school and they'll throw your ass out on the sidewalk. When I said that, I was literally laughing at you. Read it this way. Entropy is a law? No shit. That's really what I meant. But if I say that in Nathan Oakley's chat, I get timed out or banned. Just that simple. So make all the big deal out of that you want to, but I was laughing at you fools. That's all.
I don't know an analogy that is stupider than this. I really don't. Can we search one out?
But wait a minute. Let's see if we can ever catch John getting anything right.
I have hope for him. I have hope for him one of these days.
Let's see if we can catch him doing something right eventually. This is all still him whining on and on about me laughing at him. They just got butt hurt because I was making fun of them.
I really blew the line the other day. I turned the volume down so he couldn't, get his little message out to me, and I was ignoring him. That really pissed him off. They threw me off at 24/7 for that.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Because I hurt Sean's feelings. I hurt questionable education's feelings.
Oh, goodness. Poor baby.
I don't know how I sleep at night.
Pretty well, I would think. Oh, here we go. He finally got me. Here we go. This is good. He got me this time.
It's Jim. No marble science. Check this one out. The butane is heavier. No question about that. It's heavier not because of relative density. It's heavier because it's more dense.
Bob, did you ever say something that was so wrong it wasn't even wrong?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I had a moment the other day when I was trying to pronounce conundrum. I just couldn't make my mouth say it.
Yep.
It's just one of those things. I just couldn't do it. But then again, I kind of chuckle because I listen to QE try and say big numbers. That's always a blast.
Oh, that's always hilarious.
Butane is a more dense gas than normal air.
Yeah.
And you use the density of that gas to accentuate the fact that when gravity worked on that mass of that denser gas, it would have a more pronounced effect over a shorter period. it's, you could have done it with water, but you could have done it with, what was it, sulfur hexafluoride, even more dense than butane.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a very good demonstration and a classic demonstration in science. We do that all the time.
Well, at this particular, I actually remember this, and I can't remember whose stream it was on, but at the time, I just totally lost my train of thought. I don't remember if it was because other people were yelling in my ear or whatever, but completely lost my train of thought. Obviously, when you're talking about heavy, you're talking about weight, right? Weight. What I was trying to say is it is not relative density that's doing this. It's gravity that's doing it. It's gravity acting on the mass that makes it heavier.
The mass of the gas.
Yeah, exactly. So I just said it wrong, but I'll give John one credit for this. Okay, you got me,
man.
buddy.
If it's more dense, there's just simply more mass per unit volume. That's the only reason, and it accentuates the effect. It's a great way to demonstrate it. I don't have an issue with it at all.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's give him a win on that one, though. Okay, got me. But let's go on and see if maybe he did something silly.
Do with this? I don't know. Don't ask me.
You know, it's one thing to lose your concentration in the middle of a live stream and misspeak. But it's quite another thing when you put out a video with an error like the one you're about to see in it. Huey, you had plenty of time to fix this one.
What would I subtract? And subtract from what, pray tell? Should I subtract the 1.93368 to the negative 19th power, that's interstellar space pressure, from 14.69 psi sea level?
I got to interrupt it at this point and point out one thing. Pay attention to what you're looking at on the screen. What this guy literally thinks, he doesn't understand scientific notation. In the first line, he got it right. 1.93368 times 10 to the minus 19th. And it can be written just exactly as he expressed it. But look at what he does next. He goes from 1.93368 times 10 to the minus 19th to 1.93368 to the negative 19th power. Jesus Christ, John, that is a monumental flub up.
Did I do that? Okay. Answer: 14.69 00000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000 Now what? What do you want me to do? Those are the only two numbers I really got. Unless you just want to make up some numbers to subtract. Why are we even subtracting? Unbelievable. And you're a math teacher. You teach our kids.
Well, this shouldn't be too hard, Huey. All you got to do is subtract the little number from the really big number. The big number is 14.69, and the little number is 1.93368 times 10 to the minus 19th. Let's see how you did. 8 from 10 is 2, got it. 6 from 9 is 3, got it. 3 from 9 is 7, strike 1. Should be a 6, Huey. 3 from 9 is 6, you got it right that time. 9 from 9 is 1, strike 2, Huey. 1 from 9 is 8, 0 from 9 is 0, 0 from 9 is 0, and that goes on for a ways. You know what, Huey, I got a question for you. Did it occur to you that that number that you ended up with is actually larger than the number you started with, yet you subtracted something from it? Do you suppose if you had done the math correctly, you would have gotten a number that looked something like that? You know, I would say I feel sorry for you, but I don't. I do feel sorry for the people you're trying to fool with this nonsense. Man, if you're going to lecture a math teacher and you can't even subtract one number from another, you got a problem.
All right, this is really good. This is going to show, like I said, we're going to get into the paper. So, Hillbilly Blue Balls, the redneck retard, you guys know the rest. The purpose of Cavendish was not necessarily an experiment. It was to measure, it was a measurement of the gravitational constant effectively.
Effectively is an important word in that sentence, and he only reads it this one time.
Really? The purpose of
It
the
goes right
Cavendish
in
was
when
to
he
do
said
that.
that
Really?
gravity is not just a force and left out the dust.
Yeah, exactly.
He's good at leaving out these little key words that completely change the meaning of the sentence.
As I have said in every video that I've made about Cavendish from the very beginning, and have never understood it to be any other way, of course Cavendish didn't measure the gravitational constant, but effectively that's exactly what he did if you follow through with the rest of the math. Jeez, this guy's unbelievable.
This is a screaming testimony that you don't have a clue, and you never read the paper. Let's pull it up. Not the original yet. We're going to get some commentary on this. This is from Laurent Hodges, our buddy from before. Department of Physics and Astronomy. Yeah, I liked how they put astronomy with physics, right? They put a pseudoscience in with the science to probably give it some, veracity. But I digress. Iowa State University.
I love it when he calls astronomy a pseudoscience.
Yeah, he likes to do that.
Yeah, he tries to apply his little 7th grade outline of an experiment to it and can't comprehend how astronomy actually does science. So it's just amusing.
You suppose this guy's ever seen the inside of a physics classroom in his life?
Or the back end of a telescope? Nope.
Probably not.
Let's roll down here to this. We're going to go through this here in a few minutes. Let's go right to the rub. So Cavendish's paper, this physicist went through Cavendish's paper to look, what was actually in it. Cavendish's paper did not disappoint me in this respect. There were 3 major surprises awaiting me. First, Cavendish did not determine either G, big G, or M. He determined the average density of the Earth. He didn't determine big G. What the heck are you talking about, sir? What are you talking about here? You didn't read the paper, did you?
What's the silliness that he's putting up right now? Did he not determine the density? Does the density not consist of the volume and the mass? Do we not know the volume of the Earth?
Yeah, we do.
Can you not derive G from this? I mean, was there a reason that he needed to derive G to compare the density of the Earth to the density of water, rock, or iron? He didn't. He just did a direct comparison of the density. There was no reason to put G in there, so he didn't write it out. However, if you use the same data, you can get G. So what's QE's problem here?
Well, yeah, he's just grasping at straws as normal. And yeah, he actually read and said the word density a moment ago, and then quickly got away from it. Just like he read the word effectively from what I said, and quickly goes away from it. This is just John being misleading, as he always is. And he goes through a whole lot of stuff here with this paper. I'll tell you what, we'll listen to a little bit more of it.
This is a train wreck of epic proportions. How could you say that? You're just making stuff up, aren't you? Let's go through this because I find it very interesting. There's a couple other points. We're going to digress for a couple moments because you can't recover, sir. We're just going to put you by the wayside. I don't know what you're going to do. Maybe call a 1-800 number or something. I don't know. So this is, like I said, this is the Reverend John Michel, by the way, Cavendish Experiment from Laurent Hodges, Department of Physics and Astronomy, Iowa State University. Let's check this out. The Cavendish apparatus for determining the gravitational constant has always seemed to me, and surely to many other physics teachers, to be one of the jewels of physics, a marvel of simplicity and beauty. Oh, I'm getting all fuzzy. I'm inspired. I never fail to show it to my students when we are learning about gravitation. Our textbooks generally credit Henry Cavendish, 1731 to 1810, with having been the first scientist, oh brother, to determine the value of the G. I like how he calls it, of the G. However, his experiment, it wasn't an experiment, is often referred to as having weighed the earth, because from the knowledge of R, the Earth's radius, and the gravitational field, the strength little g at the surface of the Earth, it is possible to determine the mass m of the Earth. Just hold off. We're going to get to this. I want to continue. Recently, as I was preparing notes on the gravitational interaction for an introduction.
Say it again, Bob.
Is he just being purposely obtuse? First of all, no physics professor would ever say that they thought Cavendish determined G. If they knew anything, if they knew the first thing about it, they would understand it. By the time you're a college physics professor, you're familiar with Cavendish, and you shouldn't be surprised that he didn't calculate G. He didn't need to. As far as the mass, again, he wasn't calculating the mass of the Earth. He was calculating the density of the Earth. Now, since you know the volume of the Earth, you can easily determine mass. That wasn't the question that he was looking for. He was looking for the density of the Earth. Didn't need go any further than that, although he...
Yeah, and that's all he was trying to do. That's the only thing he was trying to do.
It's just silliness.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, let's move along here, because I want to get to here's the see, I'm not sure what he was trying to point out showing Cavendish's paper, but he keeps coming back to the statement I made that effectively Cavendish actually did get the gravitational constant. Here's an idea. Why don't you and I figure out how he did that? How he could have done that? And here's a slide I put together. Okay. This is straight out of Cavendish's paper. Cavendish says the diameter of the Earth, which was well known at that time, John, had been known for a long, long, long time. But by the time Cavendish did his experiment, there had been enough surveying done that they understood the shape and the size of the Earth well enough to know that it wasn't a sphere. It was an oblate spheroid. They had some very, very good very good measurements of the radius and the diameter of the Earth and circumference and so forth. The average diameter that Cavendish states in his paper is 41,800,000 feet. Now, for my convenience, I converted that to meters. I imagine Cavendish was bright enough to do that too. And from that, I'm also smart enough to know that if I divide the diameter by 2, I can get the radius. That's how it's done, John. I know that's baffling to you, but that's exactly how we do it. From that, using a simple formula, which we have known about for a really long time, 4/3 power cubed is the volume of a sphere, John. So with the numbers that Cavendish had, the number Cavendish had in his paper, you can determine the volume of the Earth to be 1.0827 times 10 to the 21st cubic meters. Now, John, the density of water is 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter. Cavendish measured, this is what he measured, this is what he reported in his paper, that the specific gravity of the Earth is 5.48. The average mass of Earth weighs 5.48 times as much as water. If we multiply 5.48 times the volume of the Earth, we end up with 5.933 times 10 to the 24th kilograms. The accepted value we use today is 5.972. That's awfully close. And this is using the numbers that Cavendish had in his paper, John, the one you didn't read, but I did. Now that's kind of curious. We now know the mass of the Earth that you say he could not have known, when obviously he did. Let's go on one and take it one step further. He knew what the mass of the Earth was, obviously, 5.933 times 10 to the 24th kilograms. He knew the radius of 6,370,000 meters. And he also knew, thanks to a guy by the name of Galileo, I think, that the acceleration of gravity, little g, is 9.81 meters per second squared. It was 9.81 meters per second squared even back then, buddy. Now, you know, we can take a little bit of Newton. Newton gave us a nice formula that said F is equal to ma. In this case, A is actually little g. So F is equal to mg, and we also can take the modern day form of Newton's gravitational equation and say F is equal also to big G times little m times big M divided by r squared. When you set those two things equal to each other and solve for G, you get G is equal to little g times r squared divided by m. What do we have above, John? We have G, we have little g, we have r, and we have m. Plug those numbers in and see what you come up with. My calculator says 6.709 times 10 to the minus 11th. That's pretty close to 6.67. What do you think, Bob?
Sounds perfect to me, and it sounds like with the data that he presented in his paper, but just had no reason to put it all together in that equation because he wasn't trying to solve for the constant proportionality. He was measuring two things. He was directly comparing two things that already had that constant in it, the density of water and the density of the Earth. There was no reason to calculate the constant of proportionality. You know, when we look at satellites, we don't take into account the mass of the satellite because it comes out in the wash when you compare the weight of the satellite, which includes the mass, and the centrifugal force, which includes the mass. They both cancel each other out. So I feel basic math in the 6th grade. That's pre-algebra, isn't it?
You'd be fine.
No, I don't believe you have. I do appreciate the compliment. And Blue, pretty, yeah, a lot of fun to work in the last couple. No, Blue's been a lot of fun to work with for the last few years. He's a great asset to this community, and you know, I just really enjoy the opportunity to get on out and make some of these things.
Whoops. I'm sitting here talking to nobody because I had the mic muted. So apparently
man.
I would imagine that the YouTube crowd didn't hear the shout outs I just did. I might do those again real quick. Andrew and for $19.99. Thanks for being you. Appreciate that, man. Thanks so much. And Cygnus, where are you? For $5, don't think you're wasting your time arguing with idiots. I've learned so much by these videos and how to address dumb people with facts. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. So, Bob, you got to hear it twice. Bob can hear me in Discord, but I was muted over here in OBS. So anyway, I'm back live again. So this really was the substance of Quantum Eraser's criticisms of me. And it boils down to not a lot. Clearly, Quantum Eraser knows little or nothing about Cavendish. And his basic understanding of physics doesn't seem to be too good either. You know, at some point, Bob, I think what I'm going to do is, one thing I'd like to do, I've been meaning to, is to go through the Cavendish calculations just for the fun of it and explain to everybody how he did that. It's really fairly remarkable.
I would like to see that. I would find that interesting because I've always liked math, and that doesn't mean I'm that good at it, but that's math at a level that I can comprehend.
Yeah, his technique is not one that we would ever use today. And we have a much more direct method that we can use to calculate the value of big G, which I've shown many times on my channel. So you don't have to go through all of this density stuff that he did.
Well, it was an interesting approach, and any interesting approach makes you think. And by the way, it's got a nice super chat from Judy Bassett, 10 euros. Thank you for your work, Blue. Well done, Judy. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Great
Judy.
supporter of my channel as well.
Yeah, Judy's great. Really appreciate it, Judy. So, yeah, I think it would be, it'll be kind of, it'll be one of those videos that not a lot of people are going to be terribly interested in, but I think it makes it a more complete package if at some point I go through those calculations and just help let everybody understand the way Cavendish thought and the way things were done back in those days. It's just really fascinating. So anyway, what do we have left here? Well, not a lot. I think we have pretty much destroyed.
We didn't have a lot from the start, Blue. Yeah, we didn't have a lot to work with from the start. I mean, these are rather amateurish attempts to go na-na-ni-na, ha-ha, I'm going to call you names and therefore you're wrong. Typical flat earth arguments.
Yeah, they're playing it straight up the line, exactly the way we predicted they would. They have no argument. You can see mass attracting mass time and time and time again. It never fails. I show these things on live streams. There's nothing being hidden. There are no tricks involved. And so the only thing they've got left is to call me names and accuse me of cheating somehow or the other. Although I don't know how how do you make that stick? You can see I'm not touching anything. So, and it's not like this hadn't been done a few thousand times. You know, it's been done a lot of times.
Indeed it has, Blue, tens of thousands of times, starting with Cavendish and ending up here with you.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll continue. Science students are going to continue doing this forever, as far as I can tell, just simply because
my grandkids will be doing this.
Yeah,
my grandkids will be doing this, and their
Of course.
grandkids will be doing it. It's one of those classic experiments in physics, and no amount of posturing or incredulity on the part of pseudo-intellectuals like questionable education is going to stop them. You think anybody is listening to this? No. Basically, the only reason that we're paying any attention to it at all is simply to point out where it's wrong for the people that actually want to learn about things. So, good luck with that, Quantum. You're an embarrassment, but that's okay. You're also a source of amusement.
Yes, he is. No, I can science that. Says I'd like to hear more about. I'd like to hear about that more direct way to measure G. No, it's not a more direct way to measure it. It's a more direct. It's a much easier way to calculate it. We don't have to go through this step that we took here. There's a simple equation relating the time of oscillation of the pendulum, the mass of the large balls, and the deflection. That's really the only things you need, and some dimensional information from the apparatus, and you can spit out G directly without having to go through all this other stuff. So that's what I was referring to. Well, Bob, is there anything else we need to cover?
Well, no, just questionable education. Keep being you. You're our best advertisement because when you open your mouth, people think that you have got to be hiding something with this over the top mockery and childish behavior that you do. I mean, you advertised a video the other day because I apparently mispronounced a word, and you thought somehow that that was worth doing a video on. Well, who the hell cares? Uh, we really don't. We have better things to do. And quite frankly, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you, Blue. But I got some things that I'd like to do tonight. Maybe you could, maybe you can show the folks my my share up there.
I would love to be able to. I don't know how to share anything from you at the moment, Bob. This is a little new to me, but what I want you to do is tell everybody what you're about to do, and we'll just see if we can get everybody to move from this channel over to your channel.
Well, I'm going to go on over to my Discord here in a couple of minutes, and I'm streaming the telescope right now. I'm going to take about a 5-minute break, but give me a second here, and what I'll do is I'll go on over to my channel, and I'm going to give you guys a quick link that I'm going to post in here. You can come on over and join the channel and head on over there and wait for me here for a couple minutes, and I'll go ahead and put this up on my channel. And then we'll come back and we'll just have some fun with the telescope for the next couple hours. Maybe have a look at some satellites and things like that. So hang on just a second.
Yeah, that'd be terrific.
Here, I'm going to give you guys a I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a quick link right here. I'll stick that in your side chat on YouTube, Blue.
Correct. Yeah, please do that.
And we'll have that up. I've got the moon up right now, and I'll have that up on my Discord, and then we'll sit down and we'll go from the moon to a couple of other things. You'll see one of the problems that we run into is the moon's green. That's because it's made out of green cheese, a little known fact. And we'll deal with it here. Give me a second. Let me get this up. Okay, Blue. Do you have YouTube up right now?
I don't. I can. Hang on 1 second. I got a super chat too that came in from I can science that for $5. Keep being awesome. Thank you. Now let me do something here. I want to turn this display off. We'll go back to that screen, and then I'll be able to go to YouTube. Okay.
I got it. It didn't go on. It didn't go on. I tried it in your chat here, and it didn't work. Give me a second to get over to YouTube, and I'll put it up there, okay?
Yeah.
Just give me a sec. I'll be right with you here. Come on. What's going on with this thing? It's not minimizing. There we go.
And a $5 super chat from Johnny Ragadoo. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate it, man. I actually could. There is a way. Wait a second. I just got to find Bob the Science Guy down here.
Now the doggone thing, for some reason, now the...
I don't see a stream running right now, Bob.
Not a stream running. I'm going ahead and putting... I can't seem to get the... I can't get Discord back working again here. And
Well, there's a link to your channel, at least in the side chat. Yeah, so I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. Thanks for coming. Just seemed like it might be fun to once again expose Quantum Eraser for the fake that he actually is. It's amazing that the guy accuses me of not reading the Cavendish paper and then scratches his head about where the density came from. What the hell was the title of the paper, QE? Determining the density of the Earth or something like that?
a method to determine the density of the Earth, as I recall.
Yeah. Are you having any luck with it, Bob?
Yeah, I went ahead and put up a link to my my channel, and it'll be up there probably 20 minutes. I need to grab something to drink real quick, and then we'll go ahead and do that. All right. So, Blue, thank you very much for having me in today, and it's always fun to do that.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Bob.
Anytime you want. Anytime you want to rip QE a new one, just let me know. He's one of my favorite targets. I used to like Oakley too, but then I realized he wasn't important enough to deal with it more.
Yeah, well, QE's not important enough either, but it's just fun to investigate how wrong a guy can be. A couple of more super chats too. David Lee for $4.99. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. And Rodent No Last Name for $5. Flurfers argue dictionaries.
Good night to you, Blue.
Yeah, take care, buddy.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, and Rodent No Last Name for $5. Flurfers argue dictionaries. Meanwhile, we'll be over here flying a helicopter on Mars and other epic stuff. Absolutely. All right. Well, if anybody's got any other questions, throw them in the chat real quick. Otherwise, I think it's about time to wrap this one up. We're coming up on an hour and a half here. Again, I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. This has been fun. It's always fun to get together. Always a good time to get together with Bob. So with that, I think I am going to terminate this stream, and I will catch you guys on the next one.